ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Vobes show, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the Vobes show on the 29th of May, 2018. It is Oak Apple Day, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, get your sprigs of oak and your little oak apples from the oak trees and pin them to the front door. Pin them to your boughs. Pin them, not your bowels, your boughs. Pin them to anywhere you like. Pin them to your forehead. Deck the floors with oaks and leaves and apples. Yes, in honour of the restoration of Charles II, ladies and gentlemen, from 1660. The celebration has been going on ever since he rode, I think it was his birthday, when he came back into Britain. From 1661, they started to celebrate the restoration of Charles II. It had been an awful period whilst the Puritans had been in. It had been drab and miserable and boring and all those sort of things. And yet the restoration of the monarchy, Charles II came on board. He said, none of this. We will have fun. We will open the theatres again. We will do lots of exciting things. There will be music and merriment. And everybody was happy. Yes, they were happy. Very, very exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Not as exciting, of course, as joining the Vobes show, as many of you have just done, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's see who's out there on this wonderful day as we get towards the end of May, ladies and gentlemen. So the lovely Julia has popped in to the chat room and is logged on along with Todd Desborough, Nikki Jess, Frank Carver, Andy Ash, Anne Evans, Nikki Jess, Andy Joy, Sean Best, Linda Kane. They're all lining up. In fact, you can't get through the doors quick enough. The poor bouncers at the other end, they're trying to get people in. Oh, give us your tickets if you've got a ticket to the event. The main event, it started. He's on. He's on. Let me through. Let me through. Let me at him. I've got to get there. I've got to see what's going on with this idiot. Philip Naylor has also arrived. Alan Piddington. Getting myself confused. Paul Whedon, Pam McIntosh, Erica Jordan, Dave Baker, Jane Ainsley. Hope you're well, Jane, by the way. Richard Suggett, Tom Crawford, Dave Baker. I don't know if Jonathan Bullswick is out there, but he said, I never say his name. Well, I've said it today. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's lovely to see you on this wonderful day. Now, I have to tell you, those of you who watch the Bald Explorer and all those videos, thank you for watching that and keeping it going. It's really, really good of you. We still, yesterday, at the opening of the show, the Vobes show with my sister, the lovely Corinne, we had 697 members of the group. And I said by the end of May, the target was to get 700. And ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we still have 697. It seems that we have no more. Now, you need to go out onto the streets. You need to go and wrestle with people. Oi, you'd like to join the group? Come on, we've got to get 700 by the end. Now, hang on, let me get this right. 30 days has September, April, June and November. So we've still got 2 more days, ladies and gentlemen. 2 more days to grab people. We only need 3. Get them in. And we will have our 700 and we will be fixed. Yes, the Vobes show can carry on with the honour of knowing that there's 700 people in the group who love what we do, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you, by the way, for all the lovely emojis which are floating around the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, you don't get the emojis, and I apologise for that, but it's lovely to see you. And I'd like just to say hello to... and there's Jonathan. There he is. Jonathan Bullswick. I don't know how you pronounce your surnames. Absolutely astonishing. But I'm seeing him tomorrow. I'm seeing you tomorrow, Jonathan, at 9 o'clock. Somewhere in Arundel. We've got an interesting walk that we're going to do. And you can tell me phonetically how your name goes. I know you told me once before, but I've got the brain of a sieve, ladies and gentlemen. And I've completely forgotten. Greg Boyd. Hello, Greg Boyd. It's lovely to see you there, which is great. Kushti Phil. Fantastic. Thanks for the secret messages. We've got a couple of walks. Well, he's guiding me on some interesting walks, so thanks to that, Kushti Phil. Chris DeSantos has also joined. Stuart Hill is there, which is marvellous. Greg Boyd, I've said. So there we go. That's almost a full house, which is absolutely fantastic. Brilliant stuff. Cynthia Walder, good evening to you. Alan Piddington, it's marvellous, marvellous. If you are watching on YouTube, it is worth just occasionally popping into the The Vobes Show on Facebook, facebook.com/The Vobes Show, because then you'll get a mention if you happen to be there at the start of the show and I happen to see your name. Thank you, Richard, for the good wishes, says Jane. Well, we all worry about you up there in Lancashire, on your own. And we worried about your good health because I know you've been a little bit shaky recently, but I'm hoping we're sending you the vibes. Everybody is sending you good vibes, Jane, to make sure that you are well. Emily has arrived, registered done. She says, yes, everybody ticked off. Debbie Martin, hello, Debbie. I hope you're well. Dave Salsona has also arrived, which is fantastic. So there we go. My eyes got a bit sticky, but there we are. What a contrast, ladies and gentlemen, in the weather today. I don't know if you're in the UK, but if you're in the UK, yesterday we had this sticky, very hot day. My sister and I were up in the loft of my father's house. I was scrabbling around underneath the eaves in some very cobwebby environments, getting very dusty, I can tell you. Well, today, rain, miserable weather, but still sticky and very humid. Very humid. And my sister and I were diving across the county. Driving and diving and driving. It's difficult to do unless your car is going off a cliff. And that's when you are driving and diving. Not recommended. And luckily, we weren't doing that. So that was good. Don't send vibes, send Vobes, says Steve Miller. Well, that's true. Don't send vibes, send Vobes. Very good. Okay, so it is Oak Apple Day, and I thought I'd bring that in. I can't remember, somebody mentioned it in the group, and your picture will come up. I forget who it is off the top of my head, but it is there to mention. Lots of things to talk about in today's show. Bit of a rant as well coming up, yes, about banks. Bit of a rant about banks. But never mind, I'm going to try and keep myself calm, cool and collected as best I can. So there we go. Yeah, so Oak Apple Day, King Charles II was restored in 1660. He allegedly, well, he did, factually hid in an oak tree at Boscobel up in Shropshire, and just at the end of the Battle of Worcester. And because of that, when he was restored, they thought it was marvellous, and so to represent him and the change after the Puritans, they would put these oak leaves. Now, I haven't got any oak leaves, I'm sorry to say. I didn't want to go chopping down the trees, because I knew if I was chopping bits off trees, Julia, the lovely Julia, TLJ, would be very upset, and the last thing I want to do is upset TLJ. So I haven't got any of those, but in theory, that's what people were doing back then, and it's a shame that some of these old traditions are still no longer adhered to, because that is our heritage. That is where we've come from. I don't know what's happened in the last 100 years. What has happened to us? All this modernity that is supposedly really, really good for us, but we seem to be turning our backs on our history. I mean, things like Oak Apple Day and this sort of thing, it's almost gone and forgotten. People have forgotten that this is our roots, this land, this wonderful, beautiful land that we walk up and down on in England, with its 2,000-year history since the Romans invaded, and before, with the Neolithics and the Iron Age and the Bronze Age and the other age that I can't quite remember at the moment, the Stone Age and all of that. You know, it's like all of this, we've almost forgotten it in this stupid modern world where everything is progress. But this business of progress, everyone's got to be progressive all the time. What are we progressing to? An early grave, it seems to me. It seems to me that we've sort of lost that sense of community and that sense of fun and that sense of celebration and celebrating our past and being in contact with Mother Nature and where we are in the world and the real things, not concrete and glass and steel and plastic and all of that. We need to get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we need to get back to. And I hope that you agree with me, and we need to sort of really promote our heritage. It's absolutely important. Andy Ash says it's the space age. Yes, we're all spaced out. That's the trouble. Anybody celebrating Sussex Day, says somebody. The name's just whizzed past. It goes so quickly now. Everybody's suggesting things. Linda Kane. Sorry, Linda. Yes, anybody Sussex Day. We shouldn't poo-poo history, says Emily. Quite right, Emily. I'm a champion for that, just as you are. So that's all very good. History is the thing of the past. There's no future in it, says Timothy Wareham, but we wouldn't be where we are today without that history. We wouldn't know what we're all standing on the shoulders of giants, and so these things are so very important to us. Now, did you know Charles II stopped off at the George and Dragon pub in Houghton on his escape from the Battle of Worcester? I didn't know that. What did he drink? What did he have a drink of, I would like to know? Was it an amberley ale did he have down there? Did he have something like, or did he have an Arran ale or some sort of porter of some description? I'd like to know that, Cushty Phil. Mark Selwood says, totally agree with you, Richard. Where would we be without the wonderful past? And that's very much what The Bald Explorer is about exploring the past. The Vobes Show, on the other hand, is where we all just have a bit of a knees up and have a bit of fun, and I get a chance to have a rant, and you set the agenda very often. You set the agenda. That's very important as well. Medieval history was a fun A-level, says Matthew Holdsworth. I bet it was. There's a lot of kings and queens and all of that. When you're a kid, sometimes it's quite tricky to sort of get all this into your head and have the broader perspective. And I think when you get older, and you start, you've done all that business about fancying somebody, marrying somebody, having a child with somebody, buying a house with somebody, and going and having to pay the mortgage with somebody. And then suddenly you go, do you know, why are we doing all this? What's it all for? What are my roots? Where did I come from? Where am I going? Why is nature so important? We suddenly, we mature. We suddenly realise that the world around us is a very special place, and that actually we've been blinkered all our lives. So that's a bit of a shame. Timothy Wareham says, my history is a thing of the past comment was meant to be witty, not serious. It's a play on words. Yes, I got it. Yes, it is a very old saying. It is a very old saying, Timothy. But I appreciate the comment anyway, because it gave me a chance to retort to it. So there we go. So anyway, cracking Civil War trail in the tests. Anyone else? What? Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. I read two things at once. Cracking Civil War trail in Worcester. Yeah, trail as in walking trail. And Emily said, I did one of those DNA tests. Has anybody else? Oh. Has anybody checked their DNA to see if they were... What was the DNA test for? Was it to see if you were somebody whose ancestors went right back, an indigenous person, that sort of thing? There are some very interesting books. I've got a couple of books about where they did do some DNA tests, and they go back to some of the origins, right back to the Saxon times. People can actually trace their roots. There's a lot of this sort of talk about and I don't want to get into politics too much, but now it's happened. It's reared its ugly head, ladies and gentlemen. There is this lot of talk about this country being a place, Britain being a place of what do they say, a nation of immigrants, or a nation of a hodgepodge. We've always been a nation of immigrants, and actually that's just so untrue. It's so not true that we have been a nation of immigrants, because up until now, just hear me out, because I know a lot of people will go, whoa, wait a minute, what about the Romans, what about the Saxons, what about the Normans, come on, what about the Huguenots, what about all these the Vikings? All these people came in? Well, yes, they did, but not in huge numbers, and also hundreds of years apart. Thank you very much. The Normans, for example, the Romans came in, and the only real significance that the Romans were the armies of mostly men who came in, and a few families, but not loads and loads of Romans. Yes, they set up a few vineyards, and guess who was doing all the hard work? Yes, that's right, the likes of me, the Muggins of this world. And the Normans, when they came in, they were only the administrators that came in, because guess who did all the hard work and all the farming and all the actual... Yes, the likes of me, the Muggins of this world, that's right. And what about the Saxons? It's true, and the Vikings, they did come over. But it is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that if you were to add all those people that came in the country up until the Second World War, that's the sort of middle of the 20th century, the middle of the 20th century, add up all those people who immigrated here, it's actually less over that 2,000-year period than the immigration number of people who have come into this country since the Second World War. So, you know, nation of immigrants, yes, but over 2,000 years, we've had so many more people come in the last 80 years, and it's that rate of speed. I don't think, you know, on the whole, people don't really mind some immigrants coming in, but it's the rate of them in the short amount of time. It's just so fast. It's just so fast. Anyway, let's not get onto politics, for goodness sake. My DNA test was boring, says Kevin Hall. Oh, was it? What was it? Why was it boring? I'd be interested to know. Todd Desborough says, I'm DNA on every test. What? I'm DNA on every test. Do not answer. Okay, we won't. Most people's DNA tests are pretty boring, aren't they? An amalgamation of other nationalities. Oh, well, there we go. I guess it's easier to travel now. That's true, it is far easier to travel. Anyway, now, I want to ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen, changing the subject. This is on Facebook. This is on Facebook, as you know. It's also on YouTube. Now, every now and again, I don't know what it is. It must be the charm. It must be that I'm a very handsome bloke. That I must be the rugged jaw. It must be the natural, sexy stubble that I have on my chin. Maybe it's my deep, piercing blue penetrative eyes. I don't know. Maybe it's the slick hair that I have. Maybe it's just the shape of my earlobes. I don't know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it's my butch physique. It could be that. But every now and again, I get these very young and very attractive girls who sort of want to befriend me on Facebook. You know, I go, and it's like you get a friend request and you go, oh, hello, and they're usually sort of scantily clad, or they're, you know, very, very attractive with, you know, blondes and brunettes with looking like, you know, they're and pouting, ladies and gentlemen, pouting, and they make this friends request, and then you go and have a look and you think, well, who are you? Why you want to be my friend all of a sudden out of the blue for no apparent reason? And I go and have a look, and they might have like 3 or 4 pictures which seem to be put up on the same day, no real history of it, nothing else, maybe a mutual friend, somebody, and then you notice that mutual friend is another middle-aged man of some description, and you think, oh yes, and why have you suddenly become, and what do you want? Because it seems very strange. And Steve Pilfold also gets it. Well, you're another very dashing, attractive young man of a certain age, Steve, with you know, that sort of desirability that young, voluptuous females want to throw themselves at you. I completely understand that. Duck lips, yes, they've got these duck lips, and Paul Hine says they're only after your money. I'd like to know what money that is. What money have I got that they would like? Because it's probably 10 shillings and threepence halfpenny is what I've got. You could rub my 2 bits of my old sort of copper coins together and not get very much. Alan Piddington says, oi, Richard, that's my bird. Don't friend her. Oh, I do beg your pardon. Sorry. You're welcome. You're very welcome. It's those dodgy websites you've been frequenting, Rick. You're not supposed to know about those. I thought my history was safe. I've been getting all these emails from, I don't know, some GDBR or something going saying, oh, we want to make sure that you will opt in. You will opt in, won't you? So that we can continue to plague you with emails of this, that and the other. And I was thinking, what are you talking about? What is this GDBR, whatever it is, this sort of, you know, data protection something. I have no idea. But I've been masses. I've had more emails from people I'd never heard of saying, we want to keep you on the list. You will opt in, won't you? You please opt in on it. And I'm going, delete, on the basis that I'm hoping that if I haven't opted in, they can't email me again. I got one yesterday who was a mutual friend, was you. Oh, I'm passing them on, Richard. I'm passing my leftovers, you know. All these women that flaunt them. I don't need them, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. What do I need them for? What will I do? Who would want to ever be after me? It's absolutely ridiculous notion. Andy Ash says, oh, you've been busted. Oh, well, there we go. It's because you searched a dating site. Oh, is that what it is? How would they know? Searched a dating site. I always get them in the hope of striking. Oh, I always had striking lucky. Oh, bless you, Mark. Bless you. Down in Cornwall, you must have got some fabulous Cornish girls down there. Surely. They must be all lovely girls down there. And there must be lots of those surfer girls for you. Because they do a lot of that surfing down there in Cornwall, you know. As long as you don't mind them sort of, you know, dressing up in all those wetsuits, those skin-tight wetsuits with their hair all sort of, you know, damp and moist. It's a word you're not supposed to use these days. And dangling round their face, covering, you know, showing off that. I'm sure there's a lot of lovely Cornish girls down there that you'd be interested in them. Dan Thompson is advising me to mark them as spam. I've marked them as spam. I mean, I remember spam used to come in a tin and you used to be able to cut it up and make spam fritters. I don't think these girls would, even though I have no need for them or want of them or desire of them, because clearly they're all fake and maybe after my 10 shillings and threepence halfpenny, but to mark them down as spam... maybe I could put them down as compressed meat. Maybe that's the thing. Mark Garner says, too many false people. You have to be careful. As for giving your information away, the information would be sold to third parties. Big Brother is looking at us all the time. Big Brother? Big Brother, are you there? I think he's there. I think I could hear movements of somebody walking about. Who knows? Paul Hines says, I got my Chinese wife on eBay. Buy it now with less hassle. Oh, right. Fair enough. Didn't have to audition her. I know that Martin Snow in the group, will come to this, has put a plaque up in Horsham that talks about wife swapping. Not wife swapping. That's a different thing altogether. I think that was a Freudian slip there, ladies and gentlemen. No, wife selling. And I've got a book. Funnily enough, I've got a book on my shelf about wife selling, historic wife selling, not modern ones. Would have saved a fortune in the divorce if I'd known about that. Dave Baker likes tin spam. He says, I still buy it today. Yes, which is marvellous. 3 little black dots at the side of the email. Check on that and then block them if they have Google emails. Brilliant. Okay, well, anyway, thank you for the advice on the Facebook request from all these glam girls. I will ignore all of those. I was still looking for my own glam girl now that I'm a single man. But, you know, there we are. What can you do? Daren't go on to any dating sites, which would be a bit barking. Right. Now, Steve Pilfold was very vocal a few seconds ago. Let's just see what he's been up to over on the bank holiday that we recently had, because I think that we have some interesting stuff from Steve. He's been up on a high point on the Sussex South Downs. So, Steve, where have you been?
Hi everyone, this is Steve Pilfold. I'm up on Ditchling Beacon and wow, just look at this view. Hopefully not too much wind on the microphone. Right the way round, look at that. Looking there, almost sort of south direction, White Hawk Hill. You can see the Race Hill of Brighton. Swinging around here in the distance, you probably can't see it. I can see Seaford Head and the windmill at Kingston, the new windmill that's been built. Looking over there, I can just about see the 3 wind turbines at Polegate, and then look at this right across the Weald of Sussex. There's looking down towards Ditchling, Westmeston swinging round. It's Haywards Heath in the distance, and then right the way over there looking towards the North Downs, Crawley before then. You can see the hills, and then swinging round. If it wasn't so hazy, you'd probably be able to see quite a bit further, and then round, and I can see the aerials of Trudy Hill in the distance. Really, really gorgeous May Day up here, and hope you've just enjoyed this quick Vobing report from up on Ditchling Beacon.
Beautiful scenery up there, Steve. Thank you so much for doing another Vobing report. Looked absolutely gorgeous. Now, I've actually got a little walking video that I did up on the Ditchling Beacon. I think it's only on YouTube. I can't remember if it was a long, long time ago. It seems forever that I've been doing these walking videos. Almost a year now, ladies and gentlemen, since I've been doing these walking videos. the daily ones, not the earlier Bald Explorer stuff, which has been going on for donkey's years, actually. Thank you very much. Well, it depends how old is a donkey? How long lived is a donkey? Does anybody know? People say donkey's years, but how old does a donkey live? 10 years? 12 years? I once subscribed to the Donkey Sanctuary and looked after a donkey for them. And they used to send me bits of it in the post just to prove that I would, had bought all the necessary bits. They said, if you could buy a bit more of the donkey. So I've got a couple of hooves and a tail and a nose. I think they're putting it together slowly. But how old does a donkey traditionally live? I'd love to know. If anyone can tell me, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Let's have a look down here. I noticed Melissa had arrived. Hang on, where are you, Melissa? I'm interested in your surname, Melissa. Montagon. Is it Montagnon? How do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce your surname? Could you give it to us phonetically? That would be absolutely lovely. It's funny because when you join, I get a little notification even if you haven't made a comment. So, don't be suddenly surprised. It's like the Vobes. He knows it all. He knows. He's all-knowing. How does he know? How does he get through? No idea, really. No idea. Anyway, Stephen Gostelow. Is that how I see again? I know, we've emailed exchange many times, but sometimes surnames, they seem to baffle me. I don't know why. So it's always nice to see if you can, what is it, when you do it phonetically. Thank you very much. There we are. Phonetically, that would be lovely. Terry Wood says that donkeys live from 30 to 40 years. Oh, so that is donkey's years. So that's really good. In the group, there is 10-minute time-lapse of the cloud brewing away in 14 seconds. Didn't change too much in that time. Sat phone on a trig point. There we are. That's still Steve Pilfold, whose video we just saw. So that's absolutely marvellous. Jeff Jacobs has arrived. Thank you, Jeff. Lovely to see you as well, which is absolutely brilliant. Keep the comments coming, please. It's lovely to see them, and it's really good. Donkeys live for 100 years, according to my 5-year-old daughter, Cara. 100 years. Wow. So that's another thing. How long do you think it takes to open a bank account in this country these days? How long do you suppose it takes? How long? When I used to open up bank accounts, years and years ago, because I haven't changed my bank probably in about 30 years. I haven't changed my bank account. I've been with the same bank for 30 years, if not longer. I can't remember. I was once with the Bank of Scotland, and then they did something terrible. And I changed to a different bank. I don't need to mention the name of the bank because I don't want people going in there fishing for my numbers and stuff. Anyway, you used to be able to walk in and you'd set up the bank and they'd say, "Oh yes, did you bring your shoebox, sir?" And you go, "Yes, there's my shoebox." And they'd say, "Righto, did you put your name on it, sir?" I said, "Oh no, I forgot to do that." So they'd give you a big marker pen and you'd write your name on the shoebox. And he'd say, "Hang on a minute, think of a number between 472,641. And I'd think of a number and they'd say, "Right, there we go, that's it, that's your account number. Oh, we need a sort code. Hold on a minute, let me sort these out. This way, that way, and that way. I don't know, 416662, that'll do." I hope that's not anybody's actual number because I just plucked that out the air. Your bank has given up on you, surely. Yeah, my bank certainly has. So the reason I've had to set up a bank account is last year my dear old dad died. And with him, when somebody dies, and if you're the executor of the will, which my sister and I are the executors of the will. So we have to sort out the financial affairs, which we've done, and get the probate organised so that we have permission to sell the property if we need to, and or dish out any savings that might be left in Dad's account. So what we need to do is to remove from the various banks the little dribs and drabs of money that Dad had saved over the time, collect them all together and shove them into a bank account, a joint bank account that my sister and I can actually then write cheques out to the beneficiaries of the will so that they can get their lovely money. And before we do that, we also, if there's any outstanding debts, which there are, they can be paid off first. They have to be all paid off first. And then, like in the old days when you used to get people round and they used to sit down and have the reading of the will. And to the eldest son, John Henry Davis bequeathed his main country estate, and to the youngest son he has bequeathed his cat, now dead for 13 years. They bring on a stuffed cat or whatever it is. So you know how they used to do all that? Well, none of that happens anymore. I don't know whether people actually go and have a will read. I mean, we did it all ourselves, so we just sort of read the will informally, so we knew exactly what was going to happen. Anyway, the point was we had to open a bank account so we could get this money shoved in and pay everybody. So we decided on a bank, went into the local branch here in Worthing. So that eliminates a number of banks, because not all the banks are in blooming towns that you want them anymore. So I went in and I said, here, look, I bank with you. What's the chances of opening up a bank account in a joint name? Oh, yes, you can do that. Oh, marvellous, we'd like to do that. Right, well, unfortunately, you can't do it at this branch. What do you mean you can't do it at this branch? Well, you've got to go and do it in the Goring branch. Oh, in the Goring branch. All right, then. So she went away and did a little bit of typing on her laptop to look pretty and impressive. And then she came back and said, oh, no, sorry, there's nobody available to do it at that branch. I said, what do you mean there's nobody available? Oh, you can't just open a bank account now, you know, love. Oh, no, you've got to have the right person to do it with you. I said, oh, right, you've got to jump through hooves. So which branch can I do it? Well, hang on, we're just going to see if there's availability at Hove. Hove? Yes, Hove. So she went away. She said, oh, yes, they can do it at Hove at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the 29th of May. So we said, right, okay, why have we got to go to... Well, there's not enough people. Right, all right, well, whatever. So we were flying around doing some other bits and pieces. So I said I had to drop the costumes back from the the Regency townhouse job that we did the other day. That fantastic day when we were dressed up in all that lovely Regency gear. Well, I had to take the costumes back, you see. So I rushed over, dropped the costumes back in Brighton, where we got them from. Glad Rags, by the way. Lovely people, lovely company. Can't sing their praises high enough. Go and check them out if ever you want costumes. Really nice people. So then we went off and said, well, we got plenty of time. We'll go and have quick lunch. So we parked in Hove. And parking in Hove, ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to park on the main street. There was a space. Got out the car. Where's the meter? No, can't find the meter. No, now you have to ring by phone. So you had to get your phone, and it was only £2. Well, I say only £2. It cost £2 to park, right? £2 to park your car for an hour or 2 hours. It may have been £1 an hour, I can't remember. So I thought better allow a couple of hours, because we were going to have lunch first, and then we had this hour appointment, you see, at the bank. So on the thing, it's pay at your phone. So it was like, what? So I ring up this number, because they said, no, the best way of doing it is to download the app. I don't want to download the app. I just want to pay the money, £2, to go and park here and go. So you're like, no, if you want this option 1 or option 2 and option 3, no, I just want to pay £2. I've got the coin here. Where do I put it? Oh, no, well, you can pay on your credit card, or you can set up an account. I don't want to set up an account. I just want to pay the £2 to park my car now so I can go there. Well, it'll only take 5 minutes to set up the account. I haven't got 5 minutes, don't you understand? I want to pay the £2 now. Automated, it's not a real person on the end of it. So that was a bit of a nightmare. £2. So anyway, that went through the press this for this and press that for the other, and then put in your credit card details, and then put in the street lamppost number 8417223844/4BY, whatever the sodding thing was. So we did all of that, and then it's like, yes, okay. And how long would you like to be? Well, now probably about an hour less, because I've been almost an hour on the phone ringing you. Anyway, we got through all this. Richard, take a breath, says Kevin Hall. Trying to take a breath. So anyway, we managed to pay for the blooming parking. And the weird thing was, and it was weird, it was disconcerting, because when you got through the payment process, she read back my car registration number. And I thought, I haven't given you the car registration number. They just said, car registration, blah, 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 blah. Is that the one? It's like, well, how did you know? And I was looking to see, who it was who had just got my my debit card numbers on the phone and was reeling back the thing. Anyway, they obviously cameras had seen it. So you couldn't have just parked there and walked off, because you would have had £1 billion fine. Absolutely a nightmare. Steve Pilfold says, I use an app to park today and didn't realise I'd put the wrong location in it and paid for Camber, not Rye. 50p more expensive. Ha! They call it progress, says Terry Wood, with computers. It's better in the old days. You know, the old days you just used to have those little old-fashioned meters that you just put 50p in or even 10p or tuppence. Emily says that's when they stick a parking ticket on whilst you're paying. Yeah. And, of course, it was £2 to park. It said £2 to park, but there was a service charge because you'd rung them up. It was a service charge of 25p. But it was £2 to park. And the only thing you could do was ring them up. And so why didn't they just say, well, it's £2.25? But no, it's like, it's only £2 to park. No, it's not. This is 25p. You can't argue the case with them because you've already given them your blooming credit card number, so they're going to take it anyway. For goodness sake, it's a nightmare. I use Park and Go all the time, says Andy Ash. Yes, I used to use Wash and Go. Look what happened to me. Anyway, never mind all that. Pretty cool. They had your reg... Oh, no, pretty cool. That's Big Brother. We were talking about Big Brother earlier. They know everything about you. It's a nightmare. I use Ring app, and that works. I don't like using these apps. I just don't like it. I don't have a banking app. I would refuse to do it. I just think these are the easiest ways for fraudsters to get in and all that type of thing. Anyway, the point was that was a bit stressful getting that sorted out. Anyway, that didn't matter. We went off to this little cafe and ordered a cup of tea and a sandwich, a little sausage sandwich, that sort of thing, and that was all very nice. Well, time had tucked on, but ticked on, tick-tock, tick-tock. It had tucked on by then, ladies and gentlemen, and by the time the food arrived, I said to my sister, I said, look, it's only 5. It's 5 to 1 now. It's 5 to 1 now. So we were ramming this food down into our gobs. And Corinne said, I can't eat all of mine. So she got something to put it in. And then she got a cup to put her drink in. And we hot-foot it across to the bank. Inside the bank, there's this queue of people, and we join the queue, and the one bloke, and we're waiting, and then more people are queuing up at the customer services, and this one woman is answering some query, and she disappears to the other counters, and is looking occasionally at 6 or 7 of us now queuing to be served, and we've got an appointment at 1 o'clock. No, and she's over there just sort of, nonchalantly going about their stuff. Nobody at this point has ever come over and said, I'm so sorry about the wait, we'll be with you shortly. None of that. No real customer service at all. So we're standing around like this, and I'm looking at the watch thinking, oh, come on, we've got this appointment, we've got things to do, we've got to get over to the other banks yet and get the money out of that bank into the bank that we're just opening, for goodness sake. So this went on. We were waiting there for about 6 or 7 minutes. And in the end, and this woman's dithering on the other side of the branch. People are just standing there like, they've sort of turned into neuters. There's all switched off personalities just standing there like this, as if somebody's just pulled the plug on whilst they're waiting. It's absolutely terrible. So I just strutted in, didn't I? I strutted over to the counters and I said, excuse me, is anybody serving over here, please? Because we're all waiting, and nobody has even given us the acknowledgement that this desk is even open. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm just coming now. Sudden attitude woman. I'm so sorry, I'm just coming now. And she comes running round. Anyway, she sits down, so I said, look, I think this is terrible service. So she said, okay, and anyway, so how can I help you? And I said, well, we've got an appointment with so-and-so in the thing. She said, who? And I said, it's so-and-so from the such and such. She said, oh, so-and-so doesn't work at this branch. What do you mean doesn't work at this branch? No, she's in Port Slade. Port Slade? Oh, yeah, she's in Port Slade. I said, well, we were told Hove. Oh, you were told wrong, weren't you? No, we were told Hove. I wrote it down. H-O-V-E, Hove. It's only 4 letters. Port Slade, bit longer. Think I'd remember that. Well, she's not at this branch. She's definitely at... Anyway, they could check the appointments, and it was at Port Slade. It's like, oh, okay. How far away have you got? Where's the bank there, then? Oh, you just got to go down there. Okay, fine. So we got in, and then she said, are you in the car? And I said, no, I'm standing on the carpet in front of you. Which obviously didn't go down very well. So anyway, we rashed out there, got into the car, shot down there. Of course, the world and his brother are then going at 10 miles an hour, and every other light goes red, and we're trying to get down because we've only got this 1 hour appointment to open this bank account. So there we go. We go flying down there. get to Station Road, where it's supposed to be, in Port Slade. And we park the car, and we know the number, it's in the 50s, you see, and we go, right, okay, it's that number 50-something. We run and go, well, that's 50. So we're running up towards the station. Well, of course, this is really weird, because we get to the number and go, there's no bloody Lloyds here. Where's the Lloyds gone? There's no Lloyds. I've given it away now. It's Lloyd. All right, so Lloyds, it was Lloyds Bank. So there we go. I've said it. Slipped out. Nothing gets past me. So anyway, there we are. We go rushing up for this bank, whatever bank it was. Fred's Bank. Was it Fred's? I can't remember what I said now. It was somebody's name, wasn't it? Arnold's Bank. Arnie Bank. The Bank of Arnie. Anyway, so there, Hasta La Vista, baby. So we go up to Hasta La Vista, not Asda having a vista. No, not that one. We go up to Lloyd's. We go up to the station. We're going, well, where is this sodding bank? And then we're going, is this Station Road? He said, no, this isn't Station Road. We thought, well, we just saw a sign saying Station Road. No, this is Boundary Road. Boundary Road? So he said, no, well, we're looking, we asked a postman, you see, and this postman, he said, no, Lloyd's is back further down there, it's 5-minute walk. So, well, that's just where we come from. And he said, yes, but he said, well, what road is this? And he said, no, this is Borough Road. He said, the thing is, it's Borough Road on this side of the road, but on the other side of the road, it's Station Road. I'm sorry? So one side of the road, ladies and gentlemen, is called Boundary Road. The other side of the road is Station Road. It's like, what, you cross the road and that same road changes name? That's ridiculous. Well, apparently it's got something to do with, I don't know, the parish boundary, which is why one bit of it's called Boundary Road and the other, well, the most ridiculous thing in the world. So you don't know, so you're walking up and going, is this, you could cross the road to a bloke over there and say, can you tell me, is this Station Road? Oh, yes, it's Station Road. And you go, oh, yeah, that's the odd numbers over there, so we want the even numbers, so we cross over, and then suddenly you're in Boundary Road. How does that work? Anyway, so we rushed, hot-foot it down. We were 30, 40 minutes late, rushed into the bank, of which name I'm not going to repeat any further. And we got in there, and as we got in, there's a queue at the customer service desk to say that you've arrived. We're waiting at this queue, and I'm going, this is ridiculous. And I could see the little offices with the glass windows, the sort of thing in these banks. So they got tiny little cubicles. So I'm looking in, and I can see a woman in one of them, and I thought, she's unattended, and she was just on the phone dialing a number. So as she was dialing the number, of course, my mobile phone rang. And I went, oh, yes, that's her, isn't it, ringing me? So I stood by the door and answered my phone, and she said, hello. And I said, hello. And she jolted round like that. And I said, we're here. So anyway, that was right. We went in. But, oh, my God, setting up a bank account. You just think you would tell, we'd just like to open a bank account. Yes, of course, sir. No problem at all, sir. That we'd love to have your business, sir. Of course we would. Come and sit down. We'll make you a cup of tea. We'll look after you. We'll rub your feet. We'll give you a massage. Anything to have access to your money, especially if it's an inheritance money and you might be putting in, who knows, several £1 million could be coming in that bank would be using. Who knows how much money is going to come into the account. So, of course, yes, come in. But no, none of that. None of that, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely a nightmare. It was, first of all, we're going to play you a video. What do you mean you're going to play us a video? And it's like a video that told you all their terms and conditions and all this corporate nonsense about how this is what we're going to tell you, and if you don't understand anything, you've got to tell us and we'll put it into language that you understand. But bear in mind that all your information will be sucked out of you left, right and centre, and if there's any fraud or if there's any sort of this, you will be held responsible, and we will be sharing all this information with all our other companies within the thing. And if you don't like it, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, because we won't be opening the account, because there's no negotiations whatsoever, and you are doomed. And you have to sit there and watch this nonsense, and then you have to agree to it and go, oh, all right, so what's the option then? Can I sort of not like that bit and maybe we could negotiate that? Nope, it's either that or nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, so we sat through this thing, and I was questioning. I said, well, what does that actually mean? Because you've left that vague. Other companies, we're going to share this with Lloyds and other, members of our group and other companies. I said, well, who are these other companies? What is the information? What information? All of the information? Are you going to give them my account details? Are you going to tell them how much money is in my account? It's so vague. It's just so vague. If you're going to tell us this, I want specifics, damn you. Anyway, We got through it. God knows, you had to fill in this form and that form and this form. One of the laughable things is they said, oh yes, you can have a savings account. You can have a savings account with us, but you won't. We pay interest at 2%. Oh, so okay, 2% only on the first £5,000. So you could put £1 million in. So we could put £1 million into the account, but you'll only pay us on 2% interest on the 5,000. The rest of it just is nothing. Yet you've got access to that money. We give you that £1 million. You'll go and spend it and invest it and make a load more money, and yet you'll only pay us 2% on £5,000. And you will charge us £3 a month for the privilege. Go figure. You'll pay. So what we would probably make back on that 5,000, if we had the 5,000 for that, for each month, would probably be about £3 on that 2%, maybe a 5. So we're basically making nothing. But you've got access to whatever lumps of money we shove in, which could be, if we were multi-millionaires, it could be just. So I said to my sister, look, as soon as we get the money, it goes into the account. We write the checks, we take the money out, and we close the account, and we scarper. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Kushti Phil says, sorry about it, I've just gone on one there. A classic Vobes eruptions. Yes, it's just, I can tell you, I've been waiting to spit that bile out. Lloyd's ripped me and my ex-wife for thousands, bank charges, etc. I won't say how much, but it starts with 18 grrr. Yes, okay, and breathe. Everybody breathe, everybody. Keep it under a box under your bed. The other thing is, of course, you've got this thing. There's the financial compensation scheme. Finances, anyway, you can basically have up to 85. This is mainly across the board with banks. £85,000 in the account. If you have £100,000 into an account and they go under, you will only get £85,000 back because the guarantee scheme will only do it. So you will lose your 15 grand. If you have several million, you're stuffed because basically they'll only pay out 85,000. Now, we're probably not going to get that sort of money. And by the time we've paid off all the beneficiaries and all the bills and everything else, we're not likely to do that. But if it was, we'd have to open up another bank account because you wouldn't want to have more than 85 grand in any one bank account at any time, because if the bank goes down, you're going to lose the money. And if there's a run on the bank, we've seen how it went with BlackRock. It's so easy. I just thought, what am I going to do? I would buy, I would just, as somebody said, stick it under your bed. I just don't agree now anymore with investing the money or putting it into the bank or anything. It's like, I'd rather not have money than have that hassle of the worry of the money and who's managing the money and who's making money on my money. It'd just be easier just to stay poor. It just seems to me, just stay well below the levels, around 20, 30 grand a year. And just not have those worries and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know. Anyway, did you get my invoice, by the way, says Kevin Hall. Yes, and I've paid the invoice, thank you very much. £42,000, I paid it, the blackmail money, so that you don't print those photographs online. I'm not having you do that. After all, I have a reputation to look after. He lies glibly. Anyway, just spent it on all those loose women, yes. And I wouldn't bother spending it on loose women. There's nothing worse than, there you are going out one night and the arm drops off or a head falls over. I mean, it's nice to tell a joke, but if it goes ha-ha bonk and her head drops off, that's not so fun, is it? But there we are. Anyway, shouldn't we charge Richard for listening to his rant? I think you should. Send your invoices to richard@vobes.com and you will be so much more happier. Right, let's crack on. So that's good. Okay. I tell you what we'll do now, ladies and gentlemen. What is the time? Let's. I don't believe it. It cannot be 10 to 9. It cannot be 10 to 9. No way. Where did that go? That wasn't just me ranting, was it? For goodness sake, there's loads of stuff yet to go. I can't believe. Look, I've got all this to get through. Right, we've got 3 minutes or something of Richard Suggett. It will calm us all down. Richard, will you please calm us down? Because I can't believe I've just been waffling for so long with no real content. It's absolutely amazing. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we are going, hopefully, fingers crossed, if it all works, we're going to be live from Richard Suggett's allotment. He's going to have the barbecue going at the allotment. We're going to do some burgers and various things and stuff from his thing. We're hoping that the lovely Julia can make it. That she may or may not, because she's got child issues and husband issues, of course, but we're hoping that the three of us will be there and we'll be having a bit of a party, and it's going to be fantastic. However, to get us in the mood, to get us all ready for that, Richard has decided the Vobes has had too much stress levels today. Calm him down, and he sent me a whole interesting video about how to smoke cheese. Now, I'm not talking about getting it in the old roll-up papers and sitting there like this. No, this is like taking cheap cheese and turning it into something special. Have a look at this.
Hello everyone, I'm Richard from Veg Grower Podcast, and I've had a few inquiries about how I smoke cheese. So I thought I'd make a little video and just detail how I do that. Now, I use something called a cold smoke generator that I bought. I just had it just under a year now, and I've got it from a stall in Chili Fiesta at Westin Gardens. And all that is basically a wire cage that makes around snake going down into the middle. And what I do, that snaking path, should we call it, is stuff that with wood dust. Now, there's different types of wood dust. The example I'm showing is using oak, but there's obviously whiskey oak and apple and things like that, all add different flavours and worth experimenting and trying. But I stuff that into the path, and I found that if you pack it in, it burns longer and better. If I don't pack it in, it tends to extinguish itself. So I pack it in. On the very bottom, there's a place to put a tea light. So I put a tea light in there. I will light the tea light and put it into the bottom of my little barbecue. And that tea light will just catch the wood dust and just start to get it smouldering. This smouldering will obviously produce smoke. I will then put the wire cage on the top of the barbecue, place the cheese on it. Now I'm just using a cheap value cheese, nothing special. And just place that on the top. Put my lid on the barbecue. Now my lid has a vent on the top and a vent on the bottom to get airflow, and I tend to have those fully open, just to keep the smouldering going and getting the oxygen going through. After about an hour, I'll check on it, and it will be, generally it's smouldering, but by this point I don't need the tea light, so I'll extinguish the tea light, place the lid back on and leave it, and I tend to leave it overnight. I find the smoke generator full of wood dust will last 8 hours, so overnight is good. And when I'm actually leaving it overnight, I tend to leave it on in my big barbecue just got here, just behind me here. Let's say next morning I'll come out and I'll check on it, and I will see the smoke has changed the colour of the outside of the cheese, which is a good sign, because that means it's got the flavour into it. I will then wrap that cheese up in cling film and leave it in the fridge for a few days, and just let the flavour of the smoke marinate. And then that's it, that's good to go. Now this does work for many other things. Salmon, for example. Bacon, that's very nice with bacon actually. So it's well worth experimenting with if you can get hold of one. I hope you found it interesting or informative or anything like that. So for now, Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.
Marvellous. Didn't that look nice? It looked absolutely delicious, and I'm looking forward to tasting some of that smoked cheese. So we hopefully will get some of that, and some sausages and some burgers and whatever, and some fresh stuff from the allotment. We'll get it all from Richard Suggett tomorrow. So thank you so much, Richard, for that, and for calming it all down. Let's calm down a little bit further now, and let's have a look and see what's been going on in the group. And here we go, looking into the group here on this very misty day. Tom Crawford has been to Moggerhanger House in Bedford in the mist. Can't think when you went when it was that misty, but look at that, looks absolutely interesting. Fabulous. Paul Edwards has been over to Stamford. I've been to Stamford, it's a lovely place. And there it is, the old George from Stamford. It's there's an interesting coaching in there with a very large picture of a very fat man. I think he's quite famous at the time, in the 18th century, as being the fattest man in England. Anyway, I don't remember too much of that. Matthew Holdsworth has been to Dawlish on the coast there, looking absolutely delightful. And I wish I was there now, strolling along in the evening. It would be absolutely fabulous. Talked about wife selling, didn't we? Instead of divorce, wife selling was common. In 1844, the last wife sale in Britain occurred in Horsham for 30 shillings. Martin Snow posted that up when he took a little trip up to Horsham. I'm not sure if that is true. I've got a book about it, actually, but it may be so. There's a lot of places that claim the last of this happened and the last of that, but who knows? Anyway, where we've got here, Glenn Johnson has been to, found he says, a farmhouse. This is some farmhouse. It's in Capel in Dorking. Or near Dorking anyway. Beautiful herringbone and timber framed. It's absolutely gorgeous, and apparently it was on the market recently for £2.5 million. That's incredible. We talked about Oak Apple Day today, did we not? Yes, Andrew Graham has been in Worcester celebrating that and looking at the oak apples as they, well, and the oak leaves as they've been hammered onto the doors of properties there. Lovely timber frame property there. Commandery, I think it's known as. And Alan Piddington, you have been to this very beautiful house. This is what I want as the Vobes Towers, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sort of place I'd like to live in. This is Horsted Place Hotel near Uckfield, I think, in East Sussex. A beautiful place, actually. There's just enough room for the Vobe up there. You can see in the tower there. That's where I'd have the studio, I think, looking down all over the place. Be absolutely magnificent. And finally, Paul Hine has been itching to go to the bathroom for some time, and is going to spend a penny. Do you remember when you used to spend a penny? And there it is. You could go and spend a penny. I don't know what it is these days to spend, but it's an interesting thing. That is vacant, so if anybody needs to go, you've been holding on for a whole hour, and well done to you lot, and thank you very much. It's been lovely. Keep posting those pictures, if you will, in the Bald Explorer group. It's absolutely amazing how you managed to do that. And, of course, the wonderful videos. I have to say, Emily Champion has been a champion of them recently. Many people have been making those videos. We saw Steve Pilford's and, of course, Richard Suggett in today's show. But it's been wonderful. I really do appreciate them, and I love looking at them and all the pictures and all of that and the comments. And it's great. So keep doing that on the Bald Explorer page. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, what is happening tomorrow? Tomorrow I am out for a walk with Jonathan Bullswick, however you pronounce your name. We're going, as I say, to Arundel. The walk of the day is another one with the lovely Mark English. We're going to a beautiful Surrey village, so check out that one. With a location, ladies and gentlemen, that was filmed in 4 weddings and a funeral. So there you are. That's tomorrow's walk to look out for. But I think we've kind of run out of time, and there were lots of things I wanted to tell you about my forthcoming trip to the Forest of Dean. I've now booked the dates. I will just briefly mention this. I'm going to the Forest of Dean on the 25th to the 28th. And I've been looking at somewhere to stay. I'm going, sadly, on my own. The lovely Julia is going off to Spain. I'm, therefore, going to be on my own. So it'll be my own mini-adventure. and I'm staying in a gypsy caravan. This is what I'm booking, ladies and gentlemen. This beautiful gypsy caravan with a little toilet on the side, couple of deck chairs. It'll just be me. I'll be quite sad there, surviving on my own, but taking walks around the Forest of Dean, looking at the mystical pathways and the legends and all that kind of stuff, and the myths, and going to various places around, and maybe up as far as the Wye Valley as well, staying in this rather delightful, luscious place. And the hosts seem to be very, very lovely as well, and I asked them if it's all right if I did a little behind-the-scenes filming there of how I survive in a gypsy caravan. They were quite happy for me to do that, as long as they get to see the content, because obviously they're worried that I'm going to review the place and put bad reviews. But I don't do that. That's not what I do. I think that's going to look absolutely lovely. As long as we have some nice weather, I'll be back to nature, very close to nature, which does sound rather enjoyable. Before I go, any messages? Good night. Everyone's saying good night. I'd love to stay in a caravan like that. Richard, when do you get the merch T-shirts and polo shirts? Have you anything on the back? What will you have anything on the back? I'm not sure about that. I'm seeing Jonathan tomorrow, who's done the official logo. We're going to probably talk T-shirts and mugs and those sort of things. He's been working behind the scenes very carefully on stuff which we will be presenting to you as an opportunity to buy stuff. So thank you very much for all that. Your tarmac, some drives while you were there. Not quite sure what that means, but there you go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that when you hear this music, it means the Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi has to go and put himself to bed after his terrible blood pressure levels have raised through the roof on yet another Vobe show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming. It's always lovely to see you. I do appreciate it. I do not always get to see all of your comments, but I try to read them out as and when I can. Thank you so much for everything that you do. It's really much appreciated. We really have got this lovely, lovely community. Let's hope tomorrow, from the allotment, we can tell you that we have 700 members in the Bald Explorer group. If you know anybody, you advise them to join. That would be fantastic. But until the next time we speak, look after yourselves, take care, and goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye for now.